Yo, 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 welcome to the Lethal Collective. It is us, the fellas. What is up, everybody? How we doing?
Wonderful.
Great.
Wonderful. We back. We back in time.
They go back in time. Yeah, man.
Oh,
Little,
yeah.
little Huey
That's
Lewis, man.
Yeah. See? Look, see?
That's
I'm
right.
Get
a
it.
fan I'm a fan
I picked it up, man.
See? I know Jake was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah,
Back in
I know.
time.
Listen,
what
I've
is
seen I've seen Back to the Future before. Okay, I
There
know
you
who
go.
Huey Lewis in the news is.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Good.
But yes, we're back for the week of Halloween because come on, we had to. Welcome in everybody. We're gonna talk a little Scream 7 today, maybe other horror topics as well. Throw them our way. And we also want to talk a little bit about rebranding the channel, potentially doing something else here than just doing what we all do collectively on our own pages.
That's right. Exactly. Yep.
So just kicking off the conversation, it's been a while, gentlemen. What is what's up with Scream 7? How are we feeling about it months later? Fate, I'll start with you, man.
Kind of a lot of questions, right? A lot up in the air. A lot of what's gonna happen, what's the direction, it's gonna be Christmas theme, Nev back, is this at the end of the day, I just like I've said all the time, I want a good movie. My guess is that this will probably be some kind of like conclusive film, I'd imagine, to an extent. I don't know if this will be like the end of it. I imagine that they'll go as long as they can. But I imagine that this will be the end of an era, so to speak. Do they finally kill Gale, which they should have done in 6, but for whatever reason they did. Does she even return?
Them's fighting words right there, Fate.
Well, no, like I'm not saying that I want her dead. It's just like you already did it. You might as well have done it. Like, it's like finish the job. Like you already upset everybody. Like, it's just I don't know. I feel like they should have just done it. You set it up, you put it together to basically kill her off, and then we don't even know that she lived outside of like a throwaway line. Like it would have been one thing if you got like a hospital scene or something at the end, like in Scream 4 or something, then sure. But like, you could even have left it like I would have rather them leave it like ominous, right? And like we don't know either way. And then like if it was me and I was a studio, see and like kind of gauge like what is the temperature, right? If everyone's like, I can't believe there's no way they can, and everyone's just like outraged, then be like, surprise, she's alive, right? Like, she didn't die. But if everyone's like, a little frustrated, but like, hey, we get it, it made sense, then just leave her dead. Just have like maybe start Scream 7 with like a memorial or something of Gale, right? Like, and also that would kind of leave it up in the air if like she doesn't return, right? If she doesn't return, well, you killed her, right? So, but anyway, Scream 7 wise, I just like I keep going back and forth. Like a part of me wants them to just get back to the basics. Just keep it simple. Have like a cool setting. Like they're in a cabin in the woods or something like that. Like just something Scream hasn't done. I don't even mind if they stick to the New York thing, do the New York thing. I'm okay with that. Jenna Ortega hasn't been confirmed back, right? Because the rumors are still she's not in it, right?
No.
Yeah.
Nothing's confirmed for any of them yet.
Either way, but yeah, because I've heard a couple things that like she's not in it. She's not on board. But hopefully that changes. Hopefully she's in it. Although I think you could argue her not returning because like, the whole ending was like her, Sam releasing her, so to speak, into the world in the freedom. So maybe you could justify it as like she went off somewhere and, maybe her and Chad or something, whatever. But, I don't know. I just like there's a big part of me that wants them just to get back to basics. Don't do anything crazy. Like don't rehash the past. I'm hoping with Christopher Landon. Again, I don't know how much input he's gonna have. I know he has said that he's never done a movie where he hasn't had some input in it. So I'm assuming that he does have something, but like how much is that? Since the script's already done and everything like that, like is he going to be able to come in and be like, let's change this, let's change that, let's change this, let's change that? Or is it going to be like, no, you got to stick to the script, but you can kind of like play with some stuff. Like here's some gray area you could play with. Like, I don't know. I just, I have my concerns if this is just going to be like a Scream 3 2.0 and they're going to have some like long lost brother's cousin, sister that comes in and is like, surprise, Sid. And I'm just going to be like, we're doing this again. And like it's just, I don't know. I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm, timid or tempted. There you go. That's the word. There you go. But Craven, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about 7. I'm so thankful Christopher Landon's at the helm, and I was already excited, when the announcement was made, and it kind of cracked me up just on a side note, because whenever I was interviewing him last month, he had mentioned that they weren't planning on making the announcement. And he says, but somehow it got leaked, or someone leaked it out. Of course, I didn't have the heart to say it was me, because I'm the one that actually was the first to leak that out, that was happening. But that's why they went ahead and made the announcement 2 days later. But I was like, oh no, I'm like, I felt bad. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to say a thing. But here's the thing, man. After talking to him, I feel even better. I feel like the franchise is even more stable now moving forward. And the fact that because when I asked him the question about that, Bate, as you were touching on it, I asked him, I said, are you, in all the movies you've done, most of the movies you've been a writer as well. And how important is that to you, that you have a say in the script and you have some, in the storyline? And he said, actually, his first words were, it's actually very critical that I have input and that I have the ability into the storyline. And of course, I was doing cartwheels, man. I was like, I wanted to shout and scream. But he said, even if I'm uncredited, it's very important that I have a hand in the writing with, in working with other writers. So I feel so much better now, because I think like a lot of the holes in 6 that we all have talked about ad nauseum, that we all are aware of in 6, I think had he been at the helm, a lot of those, or all of those, I would imagine probably would have never made it to film. It'd been like, oh no, this continuity is not right. This doesn't make sense here. I think that, so while the rumor is there's a draft by James and Guy, I think that, he's going to have the opportunity. I don't think he would have taken the job if he made it pretty clear that it was that critical to him. So I just based on his language, I felt like, okay, he is going to have a say in this script. He's going to be a voice. So that made me feel much better. And I think that I'm excited. As far as casting goes, I'm still telling you guys, I'm 100% behind this, that Nev Campbell is on, because the source that told me Radio Silence was out and Christopher Landon was in, that same individual is the one that told me that Nev was in the process of signing when the strike started, that she had already completed negotiations. It's the same person. They are plugged in, and I know them personally. So it's not like this anonymous Twitter person. So I personally, everybody take it as a grain of salt, whatever, make your own mind up. But for me, I'm convinced she's back. Now, we don't know what capacity that's going to be. I've pitched the idea of, if you're going to bring the core 4 or Sam, at least, you're going to keep that running, then you should have a 50-50 storyline, right? Where we essentially are like a crime drama show. No, don't make it like crime drama, but I mean, I'm giving you an example where you have like one murder happening here, another happens over here, and they're back and forth to each story. I want to see something like 50-50 at least for Nev. I don't want to see her be a token cameo, guys, like we saw in 5. And so I really hope that, we'll see what happens there. But as far as the other stuff, Jenna did come out and say last month or earlier this month, it might have been even, that she's committed to Scream 7. But that, also committed to showing up doesn't mean you're committed to be there the whole movie. So we have to be careful there too. But she did say she's committed. But here's the thing. The studio has to also be committed to bringing her back and working out a schedule out with her with Wednesday, which they haven't even started filming anything. So it's all going to depend to me on the strike and how can the studios work together, guys? Can Spyglass producers work with Netflix on Wednesday so that she can come and film here, a day here, a couple of days there? Or you just make her the opening kill and it's over.
Yeah,
she films for 3 days and she's done.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big, real quick, Jake, sorry, and then I'll let you go. But that was a big problem to touch on, like what Craven was saying about, Christopher Landon playing a role. Like, to me, that felt like a big problem with more so 6 than 5.
Right. Yeah.
Where it felt like there was a disconnect, right, between radio silence and the writing room and the studio, right? It was like there were things that like were trying to be that were written but not portrayed in the right way, or vice versa, or like, and I mean, in Radio Silence talked about it. They said, like we don't write, like we don't have any say in this. Like they don't have, like it's up to them. We're just translating it, and I felt like at times it was like there was it was almost like they forgot certain things that like happened in 5 or whatever. And it's just like they, like can we pick a line and stick to it? Like, and I'm not saying it like completely destroyed the movie or anything like that, but there were things that just like, okay, like why are we going here when we were heading here? Like, let's stay this way. Or, if you want to, go this way for a moment and then veer back, then fine. But so I'm hoping with Christopher Landon, there is like top to bottom, like, here we go. And I hope that there's like a new direction. Like, I know some people like Jake's kind of come around to like the way that they approached, Scream 6, even though I kind of feel like it was a rehash Scream 2. Yeah, they did things different, but like, can we do something a little, like, even if it is back to basics and it is something we've seen 100 times, like as long as it's new for Scream, like, I don't need a part 3 again. Like, can we do something in a different direction? But sorry, Jake, go ahead.
I think I have like 2 concerns with Scream 7 right now. And it's really stuff that could be trivial and, maybe in a couple of months we get some announcements and it all goes away. But I think where I'm at right now is I'm very worried that this one's going to be the first one where I'm just like not into it. And only because there's a few things going on behind the scenes right now with like requel trilogies. Typically the last ones like just go so far off the handle. They try to do something so whack, whatever. It's going to be the last one for a while. So they're like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do something crazy. That rarely works for me because sometimes it's just like, like Halloween Ends, for instance, I just don't feel like was handled with much care. And I just hope that doesn't happen to Scream. We also have the directors jumping off the project, going to something else, replacing them with Christopher Landon. I love Christopher Landon. Don't get me wrong, but gets me worried. It's like, why, why is Radio Silence now moving? Why are they no longer attached to it creatively? They're just going to slip into a producer role. Is there other motives here that we just don't know about yet? I think the biggest thing though, is what are they going to do with the focus of the story? Like, is it going to be Sydney this time around? We know Christopher Landon is a huge fan of those original Scream movies. I imagine he wants to make a Sydney focused movie. Like, Craven, even if you didn't have a source telling you that Sydney was back, I would believe it because Christopher Landon's direct. Like, that's the movie he wants to make. Man. He wants to make a Sydney focused Scream movie. Come on.
I love it, man. I'm all for it, by the way.
I'm down for it because I feel like we have a reason to tell another Sydney story now because of her family. That could be a focal point of a new Scream film. I'm into that. My thing before was like, who else wants to kill Sidney Prescott? I'm like, oh my God, it's getting ridiculous. But now the family's involved. That is a whole new, that's a whole new thing. We can spin the whole family idea in a new way now that our family, our final girl has like a whole new, like kids, a husband. There's so much more that we can build on top of that instead of just doing the same thing we've done in the past family wise. So I think it could work. I really think it could be good. I'm down for the core 4 being back and, kind of doing that 50-50 thing. They're kind of pigeonholed into doing that anyways. I'm not crazy about that. Like, I almost kind of wish it was a little more efficient storytelling, like just one or the other. But I mean, let's be honest. You know, there's a lot of Jenna Ortega fans who are coming to this movie. That's probably why Scream 6 made so much money after Wednesday's success. You know, let's be real.
Yeah.
I love the movie, but come on, you know, Jenna Ortega is the reason it's like the second highest domestic horror movie opening of the entire year. So I don't know. For me, it's like I think they're gonna have to do something where it's like a split storyline. But if they focus on the Sydney thing and then the core four is kind of like the B plot, I personally I'm okay with that. I don't like. I think it could work. It could not work too. I will say that. But whatever they end up doing, I just hope it's good. I hope Christopher Landon knows what he's doing. He clearly loves this franchise. So many of his own movies are inspired by the Scream franchise. So I feel like it could be. I feel like it's gonna be good.
I'm hope like. So, like, one of the things that, like, I hope, too, is that, because, if Sydney's going to be in it, then you got to have her more than just a background character, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, Scream 5. Like, what did she didn't do anything. Like, she served no real purpose other than shooting through the door. It was nice seeing her. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to complain about
she shot through doors, Fate. That was so
but she
cool.
shot through doors. Like, even the tracker and the tracking thing, she said, like, you know, I learned it from the best or whatever. Like, so you could have Gail do it, right? Like, it's just, like, I want her to serve a purpose.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I don't think you can do necessarily like a 50-50 story and have it effective enough to where it's going to hit the way you want it to hit. I think the only way to do it is to set it up to where it forces everyone involved, right? Maybe it is something where, like, I've thrown this out before, where like early on, like maybe the opening scene is Sydney getting captured, right? But they leave it ominous to where like did they just kill Sydney? Like, was Sydney the opening kill or whatever? And then you pick up with like the core four and everything like that. And then you fast forward to the phone call, right? And you're like 10 minutes in the film and you have like Sydney, who you thought died, is now captured, and she's the bait to get everybody to come. So now Sam's like, I gotta save her. She would do the same for me. You know, maybe Jenna or somebody, or not Jenna, Tara. Maybe Tara or somebody's a little hesitant. Like, we don't really know her, but Sam's like, you know, we got to help. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe Sam's like, you know, like, nah, I ain't doing this. And Tara's like, you know, well, she would have saved us, right? So boom, now you got them all there. They go and they save her. It's an easy mission. So that way it's not like this drawn on, like Sydney's just in the back burner the whole time. It was just to get everybody there. And then like have it be like almost like an escape room type thing. You know what I mean? Where they're like trapped in this fucking warehouse or sorry. Oh no, we're past 10 minutes. We're fine. We're fine. We're past 10. We're trapped in this warehouse or something like that, to where like they can't escape. And now they got to like fight through like this several ghostface or something, you know, and people are getting picked off or whatever. Like, you could do creative. I just think you got to do a story that is more like everybody's involved. You know, rather than like, here's Sydney taking on Ghostface in, what is it, Chicago or whatever. And then is it Chicago or is it Seattle?
Seattle.
So yeah, here's Sydney in Seattle taking on Ghostface. And then here's, you know, the core four in New York taking on Ghostface. I just think it's like, now you're going to have like these like weird, and then you got to have this crossover at some point anyway. Just do the crossover immediately. Get it out of the way, have the crossover, everyone meets up, they have this boiling point, and then it's game on, you know, or whatever, right? I'd do something like that. Or maybe, like Jake said, like with the family, right? Can we get Patrick Dempsey back in it? And maybe they go, maybe like Ghostface shows up and attacks, and, you know, they go and attack Sydney and even Kincaid, right? Maybe Kincaid's the opening kill. Like, what if we do something like that? You know, whatever, right? But I don't know if I'd want that, just because, like, then it's like, you know, Sydney finally has her happy. Wouldn't you want her to kind of have, like, this happy ending at the end, kind of? But, I mean, anyway, side rant. But, yeah, you have, like, the opening scene. She gets attacked. She escapes, whatever. Maybe, like, the nanny or somebody dies. They fly to New York because they're like, we need help. Right? Maybe they get ambushed. Maybe there's like 3 or 4 Ghostface or something like that. They get ambushed. They weren't expected. They're like, we need more than just me and Kincaid. And they go recruit Sam and them. And now, boom, you have the story. Don't want them to drag it out. Get to the point and let's get the ball rolling here.
I think
first.
Patrick Dempsey's like gotta be in it, dude. I mean, he's gonna be in Thanksgiving that's coming out later this year. That's a low budget weird horror movie. Why would he say no to Scream 7? You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
They're bringing, and especially like Craven, if you're right about Sidney Prescott like being in the film like more of like as a centerpiece, like yeah, of course he's gonna be in it. Like what? No way they're not gonna do that. Craven, how do you feel about like Sidney being the focus though, and does that aid your stew theories?
The first part of that, I love the idea of a Sydney-centric story. I would like this to be. I know Fate used the term "back to basics." Yeah, I'm gonna say it kind of like back to the old school Scream. Like I would love to see a good mystery where it's a real whodunit. Like I want to really be wondering by the third act if I'm right or not. Like maybe I've got it down to 2 people, but I don't know which one it is. I want that feeling of like mystery and whodunit, like we saw in those early Scream movies that Wes did and Kevin did so well.
How do you do that though?
Well, hold on. I mean,
he's getting to it.
Well, here's the thing, man. Okay, I'm getting on all kinds of rabbit trails. So, Fate, remind me to come back to that. All right, I hold you responsible. All right, for that.
Got it.
So let me finish.
Take it with my life.
Take it with your life. All right, So regarding Sydney, I'll finish that thought. I would love to see it, Jake, and I think that her being back, really being back, and in the story, in the thick of it, would be amazing. And for those newer Scream fans who probably now have already seen the old ones, hopefully gone back and watched them. But even still, the newer fans who've never maybe experienced really Sydney in her element will get that opportunity to become huge fans of her, like we have been and are. So I think it's great. You write that story. You feel honestly, if there were no core 4, I would be happy with that. I would be like, okay. I mean, I know what you said about being pigeonholed. You have to address the elephant in the room, So I know that's not going to happen, but I guess I'm just saying, have them in. Maybe let's flip it. Let's have them be the cameo, glorified, the Scream 5 role. Let that be the core 4 instead of Sydney this time, and then let Sydney be the main focus.
But does that solve the problem though? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're going to be having the same complaint about the core 4 like that we have about the legacy characters. I'm down for swapping the focus, but like if the core 4 play no role in the film, I feel like it should either be they're not in it or they play a significant role in the movie. Like, well, I think Sydney and Gale play a big role, and Dewey, of course, in Scream 5, but not so much in 6. Right. We got every character involved has to play a big role, or they just shouldn't be there. Is at least my take on it.
Well, here's what you do: you start killing them. You start killing the core 4. You start, you take them out one by one by one. I mean, we already talked about Jenna, whether she'll even be in the movie, and if so, how long. So, you got your first core 4 victim there. She's gone. Stakes are back up again. And anyone can die because now we've lost a carpenter sister.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So that accomplishes kind of 2 things. Then you take out Mindy, for example, just throwing that out there. You lose one of the twins now. And it's just Sam and Chad. And then you got Sydney and Gale. If Gale comes back, I bet she will. But the thing is, and Danny, he's got to go. He's got to go. You got to get rid of these people.
Or
you just have to.
I don't care about Danny at all.
No,
like, I hope he dies.
Just kill him, dude. Get rid of him early. Get rid of him. And so by the end of this thing, and so this kind of ties into Fate's question regarding how do you do the murder mystery thing? Well, here's the way. If you hire 7 new cast members, right, and you kill half the core 4, either leave Kirby out of the movie altogether, or, if she comes in, she may have to die. But my point is, you bring enough new people in, you kill some of the legacy folks, so that there are still 7 suspects. We're not down to where it's just, Bailey, Ethan, right? It's like, do the math. It's not that hard to figure it out. So give us like 7 people after we've killed some of the core 4, and then all of us, and Danny, and then all of a sudden you got to pick from 7 people, because it's not Sydney, or it's not her husband, Gail, Sam. It's not going to be Sam. Although I will say this, now that Landon's writing, there could be some of those things that may have never been done before could possibly be done. But that's my short answer, Fate, is you bring in enough new people, kill some of the old ones, so that there's still enough suspects to make it a mystery, not just 2 or 3.
Well, there's 2 problems that I see with that, though. Is one, character development, right? That's been a problem since basically the original, right? So you have the core 4. Yeah, you start killing, like, even let's say you kill Tara in the opening scene, you still have Mindy, Chad, and Sam, right? Like, are you really going to kill a core member back to back in the first like 5 minutes of the film? Probably not. You're probably going to want to like let it unfold. So let's say there's 7. Let's say, but it like, now you're just kind of running through these people. So you're going to have, let's say, 7 new people. You're probably killing 1 or 2 off before you kill Mindy, right? And how do you develop those new characters when they've already had a hard time developing the core 4 characters, which if you were going to bring them back into this movie, you might as well continue to develop them. So that way, like, basically pick up where you left off. So if you put a whole bunch of new people, the other problem I could see with that is, like, technically you could have a bloodbath at the end, but like, you're going to have like a super low kill count in the first like hour and a half of that movie. Because, like, let's say you have 7 new characters. The only way it's going to be a real, like, which one of them is the killer is if they are almost all there at the very end in the last like 30 minutes. So you kill, like, let's say you do kill 3 of the 4 and you just leave Sam. You kill Tara, Mindy, and Chad. And like, you're gonna have 3 kills in an hour and a half. Like what do you do in the in between time? Like, that's tough. I mean, even like Scream 96 that had a low count, right? Like, at least they had like, 6 kills, 7 kills, something like that. So like, and then you have the bloodbath at the end, but then it's just like even Scream 3, who had a bunch of people survive at the end, right? They had like 7 people surviving at the end, but like they killed like 5 people leading up to that. So I just, like, that's my problem, is character development, and then just having too many cooks in the kitchen at the end, to where it's like, that's why I don't think, because right off the bat we're gonna know, okay, let's say there's 7 new people. Right off the bat, we know it's one of those 7, right? It's not going to be any of the other people. Like, maybe they surprise us with Sam, but realistically, it's probably not. And so that's the problem with, once you get into like the 7th, 8th sequel. I think instead of trying to go like the complete whodunit mystery, right? Like, just keep it simple, right? Maybe even have an early reveal. We've talked about that in the past. Like, have like an established killer early on. Have some tie or whatever. Like, that's why it would have been cool to like have Bailey, Detective Bailey, be like an early reveal, because he's a cop and stuff. Like, they could have done an early reveal. They know it's him, but they can't do anything because he's the fucking head of the investigation, right? And like, and they already have Sam set up. So it's like, believe me, I'll get to you before you get to me, type thing, where it's like, Sam, if you go to the police and you try to tell them it's me, then I have all this evidence against you, you're screwed. Like, I think that would have been a cool setup. And it's like, okay, we know who that is. Who are the accomplices? That is the big thing. I think the only way to really have like I didn't see that coming is if you do something where it's just like, at the very end, a guy gets revealed or something like that, and it's like, who? Like, but then you run into that where it's like, who? Like, like Roman in Scream 3, right? Like, no one saw that coming because he wasn't in the movie. He had like 2 scenes. Like, of course it was a surprise because he wasn't in the movie. Like, I think instead of like trying to come up with this crazy mystery, like, people that are Scream fans get the gist of it. Like they know what to expect. It's the 7th movie in. Like, how many people are gonna pick this up as their very first Scream movie? So just like I'd rather them focus on telling a good story and developing characters and going with a clear direction rather than like, let's do this like crazy and try to, woo the audience. Like, I just think at this point, you're not gonna do that to the majority of audiences, right? Like, you can have like the surprise reveal at the end, where it's like, oh man, like I didn't see that. Like, oh, that's the accomplice, whatever, something like that. Then sure. But I just think like establish early, keep it pushing. But what about you?
I still just want to say that I feel like the Amber reveal is still one of my favorites of the whole franchise. I know we talk a lot about Scream 6's reveal definitely being like the weakest of the franchise, and it is. But to me, when Amber shoots Liv in the face, that's one of like my favorite reveals. I just love it. I love it. I've seen that movie so many times, and it's my favorite part of Scream 5.
It wasn't a surprise. It was just shocking. It was a shock reveal.
Yeah,
I really didn't think it was Amber. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I thought she was just. I thought she was gonna. She came off to me as a third act death character, like a Tatum. You know what I mean? She came off as like that kind of character to me. I did not suspect her once.
Wow.
I was like dead set on Richie. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's Richie. He's watching all the stab movies, eating pizza. Come on. I don't know. Like, that's where my mind process was. I really I was like, okay, Liv's too obvious at the end. Like, it's definitely Richie. I didn't have a second killer pegged. I was like, I know it's him, but who's the accomplice? So that, I don't know. The way they revealed that blew my fucking mind. I loved it. I want to see that in Scream 7. I want to see a Jill reveal. I want to see an Amber reveal if they're able to do that. But if you give me another Detective Bailey where it's like he literally basically says to our main characters, I'm the killer, without saying it, I don't know, man.
Agreed.
I have another quick question for you guys. So you have Christopher Landon, you have, Guy Vanderbilt and the writers and stuff, and then you have the studio. And then Radio Silence is coming on as producers, right? I worry about too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, I worry that you're going to have too many people trying to input their input, and Radio Silence is going to look at this as like, well, we established this the last 2 films. And then Christopher Landon comes in and looks at it as like, well, I'm the one that has to take the mantle and carry this now. And the writers are like, we're the ones writing this story, so we wanted this. And then the studio always has their input, change X, Y, Z, do X. I have a real concern that this may end up being a little all over the place. Like, and you just have too many people trying to make their inputs. And, ideally you hope that they find a common ground, that there's some like commonality there, but there's also the possibility that there isn't. And I don't know. I just, it's a concern of mine, but what do you guys think? Jake, you want to start? Craven? Whoever.
Craven, you go ahead, bud.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not as concerned about the Radio Silence piece because I think there are producers in title, and they'll get some coin out of it. But I don't really think because if they really were going to be that involved with the voice, they would just do the movie. The fact that they said we got to move on because we got to get this other movie. I mean, to me, you're basically at that point, you're saying I'm out. And so, you're going to get some recognition. You'll get some dollars from the tickets, from the sales. But at the same time, it would be very undermining to Christopher Landon if the producers were to go and say, Radio Silence, what do you think? I'm like, wait, hold on a second. They're gone. Like, they're here producers. So I don't really think that's going to happen. I don't think
they did it to Kevin Williamson.
Well, dude, that's the Weinsteins, bro.
No. I'm talking about Radio Silence with Kevin Williamson. Right? They ran most of that movie by Kevin Williamson.
Oh,
Kevin Williamson.
They did on
Kevin
5.
Williamson even said like he approved a lot of stuff, and he even made some changes.
Well, sure.
Right? So
sure.
So I mean, who's to say that they don't do the same thing with Radio Silence? Right, where Christopher Landon, he's doing his thing, and they start running stuff by Radio Silence. Is this something you would do? Is this something you would like? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, but here's the thing too to keep in mind: Radio Silence had no creative input on 5 or 6. In fact, in 6, the interviews they even said people asked them about the story, and they're like, "We have no idea." They're like, we're completely separate from James and Guy. And they literally made a point to say they had no input on that writing. So I honestly think we're safe from that. I mean, the fact that they didn't even give input on the 6th movie and they directed it. So I just don't see them going in the 7th film that they're not directing and the studio saying, hey, now I want your input. You know, I didn't ask for it when you directed the movie, but now I'm going to. So I just, in my opinion, I think the threat of radio silence meddling is like tiny to nothing, because I just don't think I don't think that's going to happen. But I will say this though, one thing that was mentioned, that Landon mentioned in the interview last month, was that him and Kevin Williamson are very good friends. And what would not surprise me is if him and Kevin Williamson get together, and because they're already friends, like outside of work, they're buddies, they're good friends. So I would not be surprised if we got some Kevin Williamson input, not in a meddling way, where the studio say, you know, when you need to run this by him, but where he says, hey man, let's talk about this, you know? And so we may actually get some input from Kevin in where he's approached by Christopher. That wouldn't surprise me also. But the radio silence thing, I think it's just it's kind of a respect. They're executive producers, and they're out, man. They're gone, and I just don't see it as a problem for them. Just my 2 cents for those reasons.
And real quick before I throw my 2 cents in, Carrie's throwing $5 out. We really appreciate that, Carrie. Thank you so much. Saying, welcome back, Godspeed. And for some of us, you're not going to make it.
That's right.
I love it, Carrie. Thank you so much. Wrong quote for the occasion. I mean, you know, Knight's taking a nap right now. So
I know, he's
Perfect vacation.
Yes.
Anyways, miss you crazy kids together. Much love. Thank you so much, Carrie. We love you so much. Thank you for the $5. That we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks Carrie.
That's awesome. Yeah, to kind of throw my 2 cents in there too. I do feel like I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm on the fence about this, because I don't think radio silence is going to be like, whoa, you're doing that? Like, don't do that. Right. You know, I don't think it's going to be that, like, that much interference, but I do feel like there's maybe like an unwritten code, like, hey, don't fuck with these characters. Like, you know, we've set them up a certain way. Don't make Mindy a completely different character moving forward. I don't think that's going to happen, honestly. I mean, it's the same. We know that the 2 writers from the previous 2 films are most likely going to be attached to this one. Christopher Landon will probably have some kind of creative hand in it too. And so I don't know. I do feel like it's going to be tone-wise a different film than the last 2 movies, for sure. Like, it's definitely going to be much more of a Christopher Landon outing, where it's a little goofier, you know, maybe a little more fun, and characters are more eccentric and stuff. I'm into it. I just hope they don't lose the dark edge, because that's something I've really liked about, especially the last 3 films, that I feel like Scream always kind of needed. I always like, especially like Screams 2 and 3, some of the kills are just lackluster. You know, there's just really no outstanding death scene. While the chase scenes are great, the deaths are just I'm not crazy about them. But 4, 5, and 6 all have a kill that is like fantastic. So as long as they don't lose that, they have the freaky style kills, like where it's absolutely ridiculous. The one guy gets bifurcated with the table saw or whatever. That's great. Like, I want Ghostface kills like that. Keep that the same. You can make the tone more fun and Scream 3-esque, but make sure the gore and the blood is there. So I don't know, me personally, that's kind of what's going through my brain. Like right now with Christopher Landon in the director's seat, I've seen him, you know, do some movies that are a little more, you know, watered down. They're more like gateway horror stuff. And that's what I'm worried about. I hope they don't like bring it down to that level, because Scream right now is at like an all-time high for dark slasher. And it's a good mix. It's a good mix with what they already got established. I hope they don't lose that moving into the next film. But make it, if you want to make it sillier, you want to make it fun, you can do that and still have it be super dark and gruesome. You can do both. Shaun of the Dead is my favorite horror comedy of all time. And it is a very, very dark movie, but it's a very silly movie too. In fact, it's so silly, you might even miss some of the dark aspects to it. So if they can find a way to strike that balance, I'm fucking into it. Let's go. But hopefully, like you said, Fate, there's not too many cooks in the kitchen. Rumor has it there's 4 writers on the film, so that worries me.
Yeah, I don't want. I agree, Jake. Like, I don't want this to turn into like almost like a spoof. Like, I don't want this to be scary movie. You know, I want
Oh
this to
no.
stay Scream. I like the dark undertone. I like the direction we're headed. Now, like, let's get Ghostface off the knife a little bit. You know, like, you lost something, no, found something. Like, let's do something where like Ghostface tussling with somebody, loses his knife and finds like a chainsaw or something, and just like boom, like just split somebody in half or something like that. Let's get a little creative. But I have my concerns, but I have confidence too that this is going to be a good movie. But I just do think, like, Christopher Landon has done very specific like horror comedies, and I don't want this to become like a horror comedy. Like Scream has always kind of had a silliness to it. It's always had a little bit of like that, like tongue in cheek to it. But I don't want it to get too over the top. I don't want it to be like, you know, some weird thing. I want it to stay the course. But if you want to add your little seasoning to it, go ahead. Like, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a different film no matter what. I mean, I think like just with a different director in charge. I know we were talking about, Radio Silence they don't have control over scripts or anything like that, but they have their influence. I mean, they're good friends with like Dead Meat, for instance, and Dead Meat has a huge cameo in Scream 5. Their little VHS tape or whatever is on Dr. Stone's like mantle or whatever. So like, I don't know, they definitely had a little bit of influence. Like if you watch Ready or Not too, and then you watch Screams 5 and 6, they have a similar like story flow and all that. The directors do have a bit of creative input no matter what. They're not necessarily out here, writing things on the script like, oh, that fucking sucks. We're doing this instead. It's not anything that drastic, but it will feel like a Christopher Landon film, even if the script doesn't really match what he's done in the past.
Yeah.
Agreed. So should we start filling everyone in?
I think we should, or start winding down. So I think we should shift gears and do that. So Jake, you wanna set the stage, and we'll all Fate and I'll just bounce off of that.
Squirmy night.
Yes.
We're telling a dark story. Well, so just kind of get the ball rolling on this conversation. We have felt that we haven't done this channel for a while. Just because we're kind of doing the same thing over here that we're doing all on our own separate pages. We want to do something different. I love talking Scream with you guys, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like we should offer different kind of content here than literally the same thing that what we do on our own pages. So we're thinking about branching out into like conspiracy theory talk. It's something all of us are very interested in and would be down to talk about, just to get different conversations flowing through here than what we always talk about. The other thing, just being so transparent here, when Scream 7 comes out, all of us are just kind of worried, like no one's going to watch our channels anymore. Like, what are we going to do when there's no new Scream film on the horizon? I mean, I have experienced it myself. Like I'm trying to post about other movies too. And like, unless it's something huge, it doesn't really get any views. No one really watches it. And trust me, if I could, I would just talk about all these weird horror movies all day, every day. And that would be fantastic. But unfortunately, there's just not as big of a market for it as we would like. So we're thinking about branching into talking about conspiracy theories. Our first episode would be about the Jupiter brain, which has been brought up in conversation
not
a few
just
times.
Conspiracy theories.
Take the reins from there, Fate.
Yeah, so basically our idea, so we all talked, the four of us, Knight was there too, and we all talked about like, hey, we do the same, we do movie stuff on our own independent channels. Let's do something fun with the collective, because also we get burnt out. We're saying one thing on our channel and then we're just reiterating it. A lot of you have seen the same thing. It's fun that you guys get to be a part of it, but live streams are done on independent channels. And we also wanted to do, like, originally when we started this thing, it was with the idea of like, let's have it kind of open. Let's do things we want to do. Let's have fun. It's the four of us. Let's make it more like you guys. The whole idea of this is for you guys to get a glimpse into us more, right? Because when we're on our channels, we're talking the movies. Yeah, you get to see like our personalities to an extent, but you don't get to get really a peek behind the curtain. The idea was that this would be the peek behind the curtain. And it kind of evolved into what we do on our normal channels, which is easy, right? It's easy to default into that. So what we want to do is we want to make this something different, something that's more like generalized to grow, like not only a different audience, but like a bigger audience, right? And also hopefully that funnels into our own individual stuff. but also just kind of keep it more fun, right? Like, yeah, it's great to talk about Scream. It's great to talk about movies, but there's limited directions. Where if we open it more general into, like Jake was saying, conspiracy theories, if we go into like science stuff like Jupiter brands, we tell like weird stories. You guys can interact. Like if you guys have a scary story or something like that, you know, and you want us to tell it, we can tell it. We're actually setting something up to where you guys will be able to do that, and we'll fill you in once we get all that done. But we want to make this more interactive, right? Rather than like, yeah, it'll still be a lot of us talking and handing out, but like, we want you guys to kind of be able to like give us things that you want to hear us talk about and give our opinions and our take on. And instead of it just being solely, here's our opinion about a movie that you've already heard our opinion on our own individual channels, here's something completely different that you get an opinion on that's still in the frame of like dark and mysterious. So, you know, that's what we want to keep it. We still want to keep it like Lethal Collective, right? The name is more like, you know, we'll talk murder mysteries, we'll talk horror stuff. You know, we want to do more like reactions. So like, you know, like a scary video, or if one of you guys have like a scary video, you caught a ghost or something like that, you know, you can send it to us and we'll react to it on the streams. Like we want to make this more interactive than it's just us, you know, black and white sitting in chairs, just like, yeah, Scream 7 and going in a circle where it's like, you know, we do more games, we do more stuff and just talk more dark, strange, scary, creepy, thought-provoking type stuff. Dive in, think of all the conspiracy, think of all the scary stories, think of like, you know, videos that are captured on a regular basis. Like just make it more broad. So we hope that you know, those of you that enjoy us, you know, stick around and hang out. Obviously, I'm sure some people that might not be what you want, but it also is just for us, right? That's why we created this, was for us. And we're all kind of interested in that stuff, whether we believe in the stuff or not. You know, it's just, it's fun. And that's what it's about. This is about having fun. It's about us and the communities that we've grown, just all of us just hanging out. And at the end of the day, most of you, we know, you just want to hang out with us. So hang out with us, you know, kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. So beginning next Monday is when we're going to do the first episode. So we're like, we'll touch on movies here and there. Like obviously if there's some big news or something like that, we'll probably touch on it, but more so we want to kind of move away from the movies on here and kind of keep it strictly, you know, keep it strictly other stuff, you know, but, you know, keep it in the scary space is the best way to put it. So anyway, like I said, I hope you guys join us for this journey, and we're excited. We're excited to change it up just to make it different for us and for our sanity.
So. Exactly. I know Jake, we'll get to that super chat in just a sec, but yeah. And, you know, Jake and Fate said it well. It's going to be just, crazy stuff and interesting stuff. I mean, aliens, right? We may talk UFOs. We may talk about extraterrestrial life, ghost stories, supernatural events, occurrences. I mean, just, you know, all of that stuff that's interesting. It's fun to talk about and explore it. And the thing about the show is that it's going to be different every week because, you know, even though the format will be the same, the topics will be new. So you're never going to have the same type show every single week of the same, you know, Scream 7 this week and Saw 10 every, you know, and we, you know, nothing wrong with that because we're going to keep doing that on our own channel. So you're going to still get us talking about the movies you love and we love, but this is going to be an interesting, almost like a variety show in terms of topics, but they're all going to be creepy, spooky, weird, hard to define, describe. And like Fate said, there will be a way, this is the tease of it all, there will be a way we'll announce on Monday, next Monday, that you yourself can help give us topics to talk about. So it's going to be awesome. So stick with this, guys. All I'm saying is give it a chance. Don't, you know, nobody get crazy or freak out on us or unsubscribe and run away. Trust me, stay with us because you need to, you know, I think that you're going to enjoy what we're going to have planned for you. All right. So that's all I ask is that you kick the tires, you don't go anywhere. And hey, as we grow, the community grows, which is great as well. So it's a win-win, I think, for everybody. So that's all I wanted to mention.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm hyped for it, and as Bearded here says, here it's all about the wonderful personalities. And thank you so much, Eric. I do really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
I'm glad you're on board. I'm glad you're digging it. That's kind of what we've been talking about behind the scenes. It's like we love doing this. We love coming together. It's just not, we try to promote it and stuff on our main pages, but then it's just like, well, yeah, you guys do that like on your own page. Why start another page for that? So we're gonna try to talk about like more topics other than just like horror movies, and hopefully you guys are gonna dig it. We're gonna try to, like I said, we're gonna try to get you guys involved. It's gonna be a lot more community focused over here, and I'm very, very excited for it. And Eric, thank you so much for the $5, man. I really do appreciate the support, as well as Carrie, who's saying, do what you want because we heart the four of you. Thank you, Carrie. We heart you too.
Yes.
That's right. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you for the support. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited. It's going to be a really fun new direction, and these next 2 months or so are just going to be nuts. We're all doing a lot of fun things, and this channel included is going to be something special, I think. So I'm very excited for this new chapter.
Me too.
Likewise. It's gonna be a good time.
Night is as well. Just so you guys know, in case you're wondering, he's fully on board and is so yeah. This was a total united decision with the four of us. So just FYI.
It was actually a very easy decision too. Like there wasn't even like any, like we were all like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Like we were all talking, trying to figure out what we wanted to do with this channel and what direction we want to go. Because again, like that was the original idea. Like if you even go look back to our very first live stream, we talked about how we wanted this to be different than our actual channels, that we wanted to go and branch off. And look, and we talked about it before, like how many times are we on this stream and we're just going on rants and conversations that lead us nowhere, that have nothing to do with horror movies. It's like, why don't we just lean into that more? Like let's talk about stuff. Let's have some fun. Let's be creative. And it's just more, again, it's more generalized. So it's not like the growth potential for us is bigger, which is important, right? Because we're YouTubers, we want to grow, we want to get big. We already have our movie stuff, that wherever that takes us is where it takes us. But it's like, how do we attract newer audiences? How do we get new people to join us and support us? The only way you're really going to do that is to do something different, because, like the people that have found us are the people that have found us. But a total united decision. United decision. Yeah.
I swear Knight is on board. Eric, thanks for the $2.
He's not here today, so he can't object. No.
Well, yeah. No.
No. Like I said, it was actually a very that was like the main consensus. Like we were all like, yep. It was rather easy. And then the rest of the conversation was just us coming up with ideas on how we can kind of get you guys involved, and like ways that we can, kind of make it structured. So we had some nice conversations, and we got a clear direction, and beginning next week we're going to do that. That's why we wanted to do this live stream today. We actually thought about just doing it next week, but then we all decided no, we should do like a last little Scream Talk live stream and kind of fill everybody in. So I'm excited. You should be excited. If you're not excited, get excited. If you still aren't excited, sucks.
It sucks.
Just watch it anyway.
Yeah, watch it anyway.
So real quickly before we wrap up here, I do just want to say real quick, I'm going live at 7:00, so come say hey. We're celebrating 20,000 subscribers over on KillJoy Jake. Once again, shameless plug.
20,000 subs, baby. That's so awesome.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Well done, Jake.
Oh, and real quick, before you guys start plugging everything, yes, that's what she said. It is still going to be called the Lethal Collective, because we actually talked about maybe doing other stuff. But then we were like, we'd have to change the name and stuff. So then that's how we came up with like the conspiracies, the scary stuff, all that stuff. So we didn't have to do a name change, because we were thinking about making it more generalized. And then we had the talk, and we were like, but then we have to change the name. What can we do with Lethal Collective? Boom, let's just keep it like scary. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead, plug your stuff.
I'm done. Just wanted to say 7:00. Come on over to the KillJoy Jake YouTube channel. But Craven, you got something pretty damn special going on as well.
Thank you, buddy. I do. I'm very excited. Tonight at 9 p.m. Central, so this will be after Jake streams over. Come on over to my channel And I'm interviewing Dwight H. Little, guys, the director of Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, most recently with Natty Knox. But we're going to spend most of our time on Halloween 4, which is one of the, in my opinion, best sequels in the entire franchise. We're going to get into it. We're going to dive into all the behind-the-scenes stuff, his decision-making and casting. And it's going to, I mean, this is the director, guys. So we're going to get insight from him that you just can't get anywhere else. I mean, even actors can't give the insight a director can give, because he is literally in everything. So anyway, it's going to be amazing. I'm excited. And I really hope you guys will all come out tonight, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, for this interview. Let's support him and thank him by showing up, for him coming to give his time to do this. And it's the night before Halloween. How good is that, guys? The night before Halloween.
Perfect timing.
Perfect time for Dwight to talk about Halloween 4. And then we wake up the next morning and it's Halloween. So anyway, guys, hope you'll all come tonight. I'll be looking for you.
Heck yeah. And Fate, what do you got going on, man?
Life. I got life. No, I Laker game tonight, so I got the Lakers stream. It's all my sports stuff tonight. Just because, yeah, Lakers game. So I got the watch along stream, and then I got the post game stream. So back-to-back streams, 4 hours of streaming. It's or 3.5 hours of streaming. It's wonderful. So if you guys like Lakers, come over to As It Stands Lakers. Check that out. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
And did we want to answer one last question that we just got real quick?
Well, we got we got the Slasher Studio, which welcome to the stream.
Welcome.
But what do you think about the upcoming Eli Roth movie Thanksgiving? I think it's either going to be hilariously like B-rated, which I love, or it's actually going to be surprisingly good. I'm hoping it's surprisingly good. I like Eli Roth and his stuff. He is kind of into that like over the top kind of almost torture porn type films. So I think it's going to be crazy. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be a little extreme, but I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely check it out.
And Patrick Dempsey's in it, guys. We're going to get a sneak peek of Mark Kincaid, hopefully, in the movie that we'll get in Scream 7, hopefully. But yeah, I'm with Fate. I'm excited about it. Looking forward to it. And last thing I want to mention on movies, guys, don't go to sleep on this film coming out called It's a Wonderful Knife. It is a Christmas slasher. It's coming out November 10th in theaters. And I've got an early screener that Michael Kennedy, who's the writer and producer, sent over to me. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to be watching it probably tomorrow on Halloween during the day. But this movie looks amazing, guys. I am so pumped to see It's a Wonderful Knife, November the 10th. Before Thanksgiving comes out, watch that movie first. And Michael Kennedy, who co-wrote Freaky with Christopher Landon, wrote the movie. And he's also producing it. So check it out, guys. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be great.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that one and very excited for Thanksgiving coming out next year. We still got 2 more, really big horror releases. We got Ghostbusters in like December, but like these are the 2 like big ones in my opinion.
I think so.
I'm very hyped for both. The Eli Roth one, I think I'm just a little more excited for, just because it's been a long time since the guy's made a horror film, So I'm really hyped to see what he does.
Well, he was doing his show. He was doing his show for a long time.
Yeah, he was doing a show. He made some kids movies. Borderlands is coming out like next year or whatever. Whatever. I'm hyped for it. Cool. But like Eli Roth, he's at his best when he's doing grindhouse horror. So I'm just really excited to see this. It's gonna be fun. So I'm hyped. Slasher Studios. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun. My Chunky Jordy's also throwing 2 little pounds in there with a bunch of thumbs up. You have 5 hands. I don't know how that's possible, but I dig it.
I love it. Thank you, Jordy. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the thumbs. Appreciate it. Yes. I love a lot of thumbs. Well, that's been the Lethal Collective, but we'll be back next Monday with the full cast of characters, and we'll be talking about some crazy new topics. So join us then at probably 5 Eastern, I think, again, right? Is that that's the new time? Yeah. Okay.
Same time. That's something else. Yeah, we're going to start at 2 p.m. instead of, so 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time instead of 2 p.m. or set at 2:30
Right.
Pacific time, 5:30 Eastern time. So we're just
Yes.
moving it back 30 minutes because we're actually going to go an extra 30 minutes. So we're going to go an hour and a half.
Hey.
What?
We're going to start going an hour and a half instead of an hour. So you'll get an extra 30 minutes of us.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're
extra
welcome.
30 minutes of me. You're welcome.
Oh,
Guys.
well,
But
if
not
we decide
today.
not
in his
today.
rants. And you guys get the Jupiter brain next week.
Wow, Jupiter. All right.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
very
welcome.
excited.
Very excited.
Well,
Welcome. Happy Halloween, everyone. Be safe out there. And
That's right.
yeah, you know.
And the collective has spoken.
We have
Peace
spoken,
out.
baby. Bye.
Bye.